Hello, my name is Bruno Grego Santos. I'm a professor of law in the Catholic University in Brazil, and I'm here to talk to you, members of Protimos, members of the board, dear Basuto lawyers, and invitees to this event about a new work we are going to conduct in Protimos about the analysis in an economical manner of the impact of Protimos initiatives. I recently had my good friend Fiona Derrock in Brazil in order to be the keynote speaker in our Bar Association conference in Maringá. And we were talking about all the work that you do in Protimos and how we could contribute to your work. And we came across with a very interesting issue that you should address. That is the demonstration, the convincement strength that data has in order to show the quality and the real impact that the work of Protimos have. We were talking about the work of one of my very good dear colleagues, Mateus Lazari Nicola. He's an economist, and all the work that he does addressing and analyzing data that comes from the impact of public policy. This is a model that is called input-output model of economic impact, and this is the model that we want to build in order to assess all the Protimos initiatives. So that's it. I'm here to talk very briefly to you of how we may conduct this kind of studies for Protimos and how these kind of studies could contribute to the visibility of the work of Protimos. So we could use three strategies. One of the first strategies in order to build this model will be to work with only new data. This is possible since we didn't have access to the prior data that Protimos produced, and then we can really define how this data was produced, or we cannot determine how it would be produced since it's already done. So we could define a general goal for all the work that is going to be done. And with this goal, we may construct a model. This model would be a model of further achievements. So we are going to detail the further achievements that we wish to get with the Protimos work. And then we will build a normative architecture, and this architecture of the norms that will apply to such country would be defined by the data that we may achieve and the data that we want to achieve. So this is a work that is mainly based on stakeholders. We need to talk to stakeholders. We need to have the perception of the stakeholders. We need to know what they really think is the main impact of all this investment and law, of all this initiative, of all the efforts that are directed towards these results. And then we can decide if we should go for certain initiatives or not. We are certain that the current initiatives in Protimos are right, and as you can see in the event tonight, we do have a lot of results and impact to show. So this is not something to change the strategy, but this is only something to bring out the results, to show results, mainly indirect. Of course, the direct are already clear, but indirect results that we are sure come from Protimos initiatives and that probably are not known to everyone. So With these stakeholder analysis, we can even say and think about ways to create or reform institutions in order to have a better impact from the investment that is done and that is made with Protimos initiatives. This way, we can build a scenario, and in this scenario, the main analysis is to show the relations between the agents, the relations between stakeholders that really impact all of Protimos actions. So, if we analyze everything that is done by Protimos, if we create the data that may or may not exist, but create in the sense of discovering this sort of data. So if in this first strategy we do draw a general goal, see how a model could be constructed and have all these other data, this other information, we can really create scenarios and show in those scenarios and in each and every country that we work on, we may show the relations between agents, and through these relations discover what are the impacts of Protimos initiatives in such a country. In a second approach, we could work with data. So, of course, in the first approach, we will need data, but the kind of data and the quality of the treatment of data is very different in the second case. So, in this second analysis, we should take data that is previously treated or that may be treated by our team, and these data would have a quality of a historical series. So if we have historical series of several actions, of years of work, the longer these series are, the better that we can establish a statistically robust model of the work of Protimos. In this way, we may formulate a custom econometric model, and in this custom econometric model, we should be able to input the data, show the current scenario, and have the output of possible and real Protimos results based on the data that we previously input in this model. So as an example, if we have the number of people that has been trained through Protimos initiatives during the years, and if we compare this data with the number of actions and interventions that were related with this training, both direct and indirectly, and if we look at these data and we compare them in a given model, so there's a difference between the models, but we will establish a model that is custom. This custom model may be simple, but will bring for us very robust, statistically robust results about the impact that Protimos has in its action. So when we analyze historical series of data, we are able to have these sort of results. And when we compare, and actually when we combine this sort of work with the first strategy, would be to work with no data, but to work with the construction of a model. When we combine this model with the data that we already have, then we can show in a very keen way which are the results, the practical results and the practical outcomes and the positive outcomes of Protimos' work regarding investments in justice. The third approach would be to work with official data and to work with government data. So if we take data from that is created by the government or created by international institutions that are dedicated to it, we may, in both ways, get a model that is more precise in terms of impact, and we can also have access to other projects that may help our results to be shown better first, and second, that may have funding for this kind of work. So if we get the Lesotho example, and if we can have access to Lesotho Data Institute or a Lesotho government data repository that has the data that we need, or if we don't have this kind of access, if we have access to official or unofficial statistics on the country's economics, the country's education, the country's regulatory status, we may have some sort of stronger basis in order to construct our model and to show the input output results, economically speaking, and of course legally speaking. So there's, for instance, a World Bank project that assesses regulatory quality in countries, and this program is called WGI, Worldwide Governance Indicators. And if we may have access to these projects, to this data, will be able to show even further the impacts of Protimos work in all of the countries that we have presence. For instance, Lesotho, that is our showcase of the night. So if we are able to achieve all these, we are sure that we can do it. The thing is, we are sure that we are able to do this. We only need support of all the stakeholders, support of Protimos, everyone that is related to Protimos, in order to build a net. And if this net is able to get all these little bits and pieces, to get all this data, to have access to all the documentation that we need, we are sure that we will be able to construct this model. And constructing this model will be a very good way to show the impact that Protimos has in all the countries that Protimos has initiatives, and all in these places that we invest in the justice and that we construct a better place through the rule of law. So thank you very much for having me. This is an absolute honor to address all of you, and mainly it's an honor to be a part of your initiative and to help Protimos to show the world what is the importance of investing in justice. Thank you.